Hi VC, it's Aaron with the Alamare. Today I'm continuing my Lost Classics of the 90s series, of course started by my great friend JC from the Flip Side, and this has just spurred me on to show all my favorite albums from the 90s. And the 90s was an interesting time for me. It had some of my very favorite music ever put out by all these obscure bands and some known bands, and it also had some of my least favorite music ever put out by a lot of the post-grunge bands that tried to sound like the other grunge bands, and a lot of the over-quantized music that was coming out, and I really despise. It's like my favorite and my least favorite all at the same time. But this is one of my favorite bands of the 90s, and they had one EP and one record. And it was 1991 was their first full-length record, which was this, Nobody Said It Was Easy by the Four Horsemen. Before that, they had this EP in 1990, just called The Four Horsemen, and there's the back there. This is a really good EP, 4 songs, but it's not nearly as good as their full-length 1991 debut. And it was actually put on hiatus for like a year or two to release this because the singer got in trouble. He had drug charges when he was in jail for 6 months, and then later on, he had another drug charge, was in jail for a year. So he was in and out of trouble. There was all kinds of weird stuff with this band. But the lead singer is Frank Starr, great singer, and just an awesome album. And then you got Haggis on guitar, who actually was in the first incarnation of Zodiac Mind Warp and the Love Reaction. Then he joined the Cult for a while during the Electric tour. He was on tour for Electric. He was also actually in the video for Wildflower. You can see him in the video, the Cult video. Great guitarist. And then they formed the Four Horsemen along with Dave Lazzini on guitar, Brian Pape on bass, and Ken Dimwit Montgomery on drums. And he's actually the brother of Chuck Biscuits, and he actually OD'd in 1994. So, he OD'd in 94, and then in, I think it was 1994 or 5, the singer was in a motorcycle accident. He was hit on the Sunset Strip, and he was in a coma and died in 1999. And so the band was going to reform, but they didn't. They actually, after he died, they just officially disbanded. They actually tried to put out another album, but it wasn't like this. So, but this is just an awesome album. It's hard rock, bluesy hard rock, just a great album, kind of southern rock at times, but just one of a kind. This is one of my favorite records since it was released. I have this is my cassette I had when it first came out. Bought this on cassette, and I've had it. This is still my same cassette I've had for all those years. It's on Deaf American Records. Rick Rubin produced it. He was also producing Danzig at the time, and the Biscuit Brothers. He was doing both their records, so that's kind of cool. Their name is Montgomery, not Chuck Biscuits is a nickname, so I guess I'll call them the Montgomery Brothers. But what an awesome record! There's nothing quite like this. It's just got that bluesy hard raw edge that I love in these bands that were out at this time. Some of my favorite bands were out right now, and this is one of them. And I'll have you take a listen here, see what you think. They had a couple videos. They did fairly well. They went on tour, but they just had, a couple deaths, and it just didn't work out. So here we go. This is the Four Horsemen with Rockin' Is My Business. One of my favorite songs. The whole album's great, though. If you like that, you like the whole thing. Have a good one.